Hola, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Karim Saba en otra edición especial, que esto ya se ha vuelto especial de todos los miércoles, de Power Metal, el podcast live, junto a mi compañero de entrevistas, don Hernán Borges, desde Leicester. Y sí, ya está acá abajo, justo aquí, porque ustedes no pueden ver el cuadro, está don Thomen, the OMEN, Stauch, a quien le tenemos una entrevista en exclusiva, porque, como digo, todo el mundo se consigue a ciertos personajes, todo, pero acá nosotros nos apelamos por tener gente que todo el mundo quiere escuchar. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Por qué vino? ¿Por qué no vino? ¿Por qué se fue? ¿Qué está haciendo? Eso es lo que buscamos. Así que vamos nomás, ¿para qué vamos a hacer
Sí,
más
vamos
vueltas?
nomás.
Y
Vamos con
pasemos
el
nomás.
crack.
Deja hacer. Hello, Thomen.
Hola a todos, ¿qué tal?
Hola, hola. Hi, Thomen.
Ok, como siempre.
Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Bueno, antes de empezar, como siempre, les explico la dinámica para la gente que tenga claro. Esto es una entrevista en español. Hernán va a hacer las preguntas en inglés porque él vive en Inglaterra, así que domina mucho mejor el inglés que yo. Toumen va a responder en el idioma que le tinque y yo voy a tratar de traducir un poco, simplificar. Y a la gente que no le gusta nuestro idioma, que nos han criticado, bueno, lamentable. Busque otra entrevista. Ok, let's go.
Okay.
Right, yo. All right. Yeah, well, again, thanks very, very much, Thomen, for being with us. Needless to say, we're all huge fans of you, of your work. So yeah, let's start with talking about a Mentalist. I wanted to talk about Empire Falling, of course. So yeah, just what can you tell us about this new release and how you would describe it?
Yeah, let me say first, it is a very successful release this time. We entered the charts on 94 in the German media control charts this time. And
Congratulations!
This is a success for the band. Thank you a lot. And yeah, it's the first time in the history of the band, so it was tough work for us, so to create 3 albums with a COVID shit, in between. We could not tour, we could not play live, all that. So yeah, it's a big problem, in the history of most existing bands at the moment.
Yeah.
And of course, it leaves marks, so you can see the big bands now, the huge bands, they get even more huge now, and the smaller bands, they have even more problems now to get up. That's a typical scenario in the music scene at the moment. So we have to fight hard to get up, but as we can see with a media control chart success, it was the first step, I think. And and we will go on. We will never give up. That's the most important thing. And we created a very melodic album again. And we had so much fun creating the songs, especially Peter Moog, our boss, our guitarist, with our second guitarist, Kai Stringer. They went to Sicilia to Sicily in Italy for about 9 weeks, in the end of last year, and they created all the songs there, most of them, and then they came back and sent us the songs, and I was working here on the drums, for the songs. So it was a real cool, let's say, combination of working that we did there. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Thomen, yes, obviously, we are going to take a minute just to translate, summarize a bit your answer for our, Spanish-speaking followers. And
remember?
No, básicamente le preguntamos cómo ha estado el lanzamiento del último álbum que estuvimos comentando el fin de semana en Parts Falling, y dice que ya tenía una excelente recepción. De hecho, quedó número 94 de la lista de los 100 mejores discos de la semana en Alemania, que para que entiendan la cantidad de discos que se lanzan en Europa, hace que entrar 100 en todos los estilos, no estamos hablando de estilo de rock ni metal, es un tremendo logro para una banda bastante pequeña, que lo pasaron bastante bien, que claro, componer este disco fue un poco más difícil. Igual, en verdad, los 3 discos fueron compuestos casi en pandemia y este fue casi el final, y pero que salió súper bien, que le gustó la melodía, que lo disfrutó, que el compositor, que el guitarrista, se fue a Sicilia algo así como 9 semanas a componer, les mandó las canciones y se produjeron cada uno en su lugar, y salió este disco en Parts Falling, recientemente lanzado por, no recuerdo qué sello fue que lanzó Parts Falling, ahí lo voy a investigar.
No, tampoco, ahí lo comentamos, sí. Right. Yeah. So my second question was about, the feedback of the album and the reception. So obviously, you already, said a few things, but yeah, so I take that the reception and the feedback has been good so far, so far so good, I suppose.
Yeah, it has been very good. And the only thing that we could really feel that this time, for the first time in the history of the band, with this release, the opinions from the listeners split about the songs more and more,
All right.
There is this part that likes this and this and this song, and the other part says, no, for me, these are not my favorite.
Right, yeah.
This is
That's
what is
interesting. Yeah.
very, very strong this time. And we were really expecting this anyhow, because we, as we said in every interview already for our previous albums, that we never have any restrictions in songwriting.
Okay.
We do what we like. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if we make a fun song, we do a fun song. And if we think we do something about a very serious topic, we will do that. Yeah. And if we do a slow song, we do a slow song. If we want a totally fast song, we do this one, And of course, there's always different opinions outside that people say, I want a speed metal album, from the beginning to the last song, But this is not possible always, because a band wants to develop, and grow with everything it does. That's the point. And this is what we do.
Oye,
Absolutely, yeah.
Mira, básicamente,
Sí,
bueno, le preguntamos, tengo una pregunta del público. Básicamente el tema fue cómo era la recepción de los fans del disco, y él dice que por primera vez, a diferencia de otros discos, hubo una demasiada división en las canciones que más gustaron. Eso fue el tema. O sea, que cada fan tenía, mira, me gustó más esta, me gusta esto, y que le han llegado mensajes de todos los seguidores de la banda, y que no hay una comunidad de cuál es la mejor canción, no es como todos sabemos, por ejemplo, que Halloween, el Eagle Fly Free es nuestro tema favorito. Acá todas las canciones tienen su gusto, porque además el álbum es muy variado, tiene canciones lentas, canciones más rápidas, canciones mid-tempo, así que bien. Oye, me dicen acá
remarcó,
sí. Dale, termino.
No, que también remarcó sobre la autenticidad o sobre en el fondo, la honestidad de la banda al momento de componer, que componen como sienten. Si quieren hacer algo muy melódico y muy alegre, lo hacen así. Si quieren algo más speed o más rápido, lo hacen así. Y que en ese sentido es un poquito imposible. No sé, pues si algún fan quiere hacer algo que le gustaría escuchar algo 100% speed, por ejemplo, que no van por ahí los tiros. Pero sí, ahí nos comentaba un poquito eso.
Oye, esto es real, porque aquí Rafa Black Phoenix is saying that you speak Spanish. Is real?
¿Que yo hablo español?
Sí. Yes.
He vivido en Madrid por 3 años, algo así, desde 2003 hasta 2006.
Perfecto. Entonces, bueno, it's up to you how you feel more comfortable. We can do it in Spanish or English. Entirely up to you.
No, mejor en inglés.
So, Rafa Black,
desde no vivo por allí, más es muy complicado para mí.
But I must say your Spanish sounds really good. So, we may try a few questions en castellano, but yeah, no, it sounds
así que, Rafa, por eso no hacemos la entrevista en español. This is why we don't do this interview in Spanish, because he prefers English.
Sí, o sea, mejor.
Ok, bueno.
Lo siento mucho.
No, está bien. La última pregunta la vamos a hacer en español. All right.
The last question.
Voy a aceptarlo.
Okay. Right, so how would you describe the evolution in the sound of Mentalist from, Freedom of Speech, which, I think is the first album, to Empire is Falling?
Naturally. Totally naturally.
Right.
Because, as I said, we just do what we want. And so the natural step, that happens in the sound of Mentalist is a natural development that happens between the band members that learn to know each other from album to album more and more. We know our problems we have each other at any point. We know our very good things that everybody can do best, so we say, okay, you do this, and let's try to make this, and we always find a common way, as a band. And I think a collection of people, is always the strongest than one person alone, and this is what happens in Mentalist. We have a strong, how is it in English? You know what I mean? Yeah, like
like a connection or a synergy.
One, we are really like one unit. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
What
Yeah.
Bueno, Hernán preguntó cómo fue el desarrollo, o sea, cómo han sido los cambios de Mentalist.
La evolución del sonido, claro.
La evolución del sonido de Freedom of Speech, pasando por Journey into the Unknown, Empire Falling, lanzado la semana pasada, o hace 2 semanas, y nos cuenta Thomen que fue algo natural, o sea, en el fondo ha sido el viaje en que se han ido conociendo, desarrollando conexiones, entendiéndose y cada vez más afiatados como banda, de una banda que partió como un proyecto probablemente sin a lo que resultaba y que hoy día ya va por ser disco en 3 años, y claramente esas conexiones han ido afiatando y eso hace que tengan canciones que ellos sienten más completas porque los representan mejor, básicamente.
Exacto, sí. So, Thomen, going back to the beginning of the band, right? I wanted to ask you, how did Mentalist, came to be? Did you think in the beginning that, within 3 years time span you would have already 3 albums and that the band would be a bit successful? Like, how did it all started in the beginning?
No, I didn't expect it to be like that and to be that fast. I came from Blind Guardian, it takes 5 years to get up with a new album.
Exactly, yeah.
Just kidding.
No, but yeah.
I mean, I know the reasons, in Blind Guardian. It was business and time stress and all that. That's why it took really long and takes still long when they do it. But we have it too. But let me say, if we would have been able to tour with Mentalist, I could imagine the releases would have had a bigger space in between.
Yeah, because the tours obviously, make things slow. Slow. Yeah.
I mean, okay, we would not tour as long as Blind Guardian does. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Possible, of course, in that status. Yeah. But it happened to be, in general, it started with Peter Moog, our guitarist, the boss, and he invited me, I think it was in 2016, the first time, over a good friend of mine here from Germany. He knew him over Alex Landenberg, the drummer for Camelot. Okay,
yeah,
and he asked him, Peter is searching for Thomen. Do you have a connection to him? He said, yeah, he's one of my best friends. Can you ask him if he would like to play some Blind Guardian songs on his birthday bash, in Saarbrücken, where he lives.
All right.
And that's how it started everything. And I said, yeah, cool idea, And then we met there with Stephen Maganai from Crystal Ball, the singer, and Alex Landenberg was with us too, Sandro Giambietro from Starchild, where Kai used to play guitar before too. And a lot of musicians, a lot of friends, from him. And
sounds like a really fun party.
It was fantastic, and it was so huge. With he does big business, Peter, as well, and he had all his business partners as well as all the metal fans, in one big venue that he rented there in Saarbrücken. And it was so cool. And then we played there a lot of songs, Camelot songs, Blind Guardian songs, and whatever, It was such a big party. And that
Can you guys come to my birthday and play some Blind Guardian songs? Can you guys come to my birthday party and play some Blind Guardian songs? Oh, man.
It was really cool. And we repeated this as well, I think in 2018 or something like that it was. Yeah, and in between we had always connection over WhatsApp, phone calls and stuff like that. And someday he asked me if I would like to play drums maybe on some songs that he had still in the drawer, he said, from old time, and if I would like to listen to that. And I listened to that. I said, yeah, that's great stuff. If we work on that, we can really build fantastic songs out of that. Yeah. And then Kai Stringer was anyway a good friend from Peter. And so they started creating more and more these ideas to songs. And then they sent it to me. Yeah. And then we started working on that. Yeah. And later, Florian Hertel was a good friend of them too, from Saarbrücken, the area of Saarbrücken he came from. And and he entered the band too. And then we were searching for a singer who could sing that stuff. Yeah. And then Peter told us he has a Rubina from Systopia, I think they are called, the band in Saarbrücken. She is the teacher for vocal for him too,
right.
Because he takes vocal lessons. Yeah. And she suggested Rob Lundgren because she saw him on YouTube, and she said, this guy is perfect for you guys.
Right.
And then he said, okay, let's check it out. And then we contacted him, sent the songs to him, some ideas, and he said, wow, that's great stuff. I'm in, and that's how the band was created or was founded. Yeah. And then
that's an interesting story. Sí. Le da ahí cariño.
Mira, vamos a tener que completarnos, pero en verdad yo creo que una de las historias más originales de fundación de banda que he escuchado. Peter Mock es el guitarrista y el fundador el escritor, el jefe de la banda. Él, a través de Alex Landenburg, el baterista de conocido por Camelot, que también estuvo en Rhapsody un tiempo, le pidió, Peter Mock le dice que él quería hacer una tocata, por decirlo así, una fiesta, y que si podía pedirle porque lo conocía, a Thomen, si pudiera tocar a esta fiesta, a esta tocata.
Porque, claro, básicamente quería tocar canciones de Blind Guardian, entonces necesitaba un baterista.
Una tocata. Sí. Entonces consiguió al baterista de Blind Guardian para tocar canciones de Blind Guardian. Hicieron un carrete donde hubo muchos músicos, nos nombró varios, y más fans, hicieron la tocata y de repente se dieron cuenta que había como buena onda.
Como que quedaron en contacto, buena onda, claro. Y por ahí salió la cuestión. Sí.
Empezó a producir las canciones y de repente Peter Mock, que había escrito estas canciones, se las mandó y Thomen encontró que eran canciones fabulosas, dijo, me parece, me gustaron, démosle. Pero faltaba el problema del cantante, de Rolf Landgren. Entonces, resulta que la profesora de canto de Peter Mock le dice, ¿sabéis qué? Yo tengo un cantante y les muestra YouTube. Porque como saben, Rolf Landgren era un youtuber que cantaba estos como Dan Bass, que hacen montón de canciones, covers de muchas bandas que son excelentes.
No sabía que era como un youtuber, vale.
Sí, un youtuber bien famoso. Entonces él vio este video, de hecho yo lo conocía de antes por ser youtuber, yo lo había visto antes, él vio las canciones, dijo, se las mandaron, dijo, me encantaron, voy. Y así partió la formación el año 2016 más o menos.
Sí, claro, porque claro, le preguntábamos al principio si él, claro, cómo nació la banda y si él esperaba que fuera tan exitosa y que después de 3 años ya hubiera tenido 3 álbumes. Entonces, claro, Thomen nos decía, en realidad no fue así. O sea, no lo esperaban en un principio. Así que sí, muy simpática, muy buena la historia de cómo nació la banda. Sí. I don't know if you see this screen, Thomen, but I mean, so just there are some comments of some people like sending their love to you and saying that you're great.
Sí, one of our guys, Renzo Palomino is one of our guys for PowerMetal.cl. He can be now in the interview, but he said he loved you.
Yeah, he was really excited. As we were all, to be honest.
Later a la gente, más tarde vamos a tener un tiempo para las preguntas, las estoy seleccionando, las preguntas de la gente, vamos a hacer con la entrevista y después vamos a ir tirando preguntas. Dale.
Exacto, sí. Yeah, no, on a more on a personal note, but also on a band note as well. Just wanted to ask you about COVID. I mean, well, the band kind of started, you have been working, during this whole pandemic. But I wanted to ask about you. How did the pandemic affect you? How has been this period for you as a musician?
I must say, me personally, okay, I'm here in my studio room and I could work all the time during COVID. That was the good thing about all that. Okay. So other people could not, because they had to go to company, and they were not allowed to go because, even if I would have had COVID, and I had it in February this year, but I'm fine again. But it took me almost 3 months to get well again. Yeah.
No way.
Wow.
Every stair I went up was like, like,
Yeah.
horrible.
But yeah, what you had, it's at least here in the UK, it's known as long COVID, which is basically when COVID has got sequels and it's like a long-term thing. Yeah, it's called long COVID.
Maybe it was a kind of that, but I think long COVID usually stays, right?
Yes.
Well,
Israel.
Well, I suppose they're still researching, but yeah, it's like a long-term thing. But I mean, especially for a drummer, that must have been horrific.
Horrible.
I mean,
it was really horrible. And I was really happy that at that time I didn't have to record anymore. I was done already with my drum recording for the third album, because it would not have been possible. Absolutely not. At this time.
You would have needed to record it 5 seconds tracks, 10 seconds
like
tracks.
And even this would have been already too much, really. And in general, of course, it was, let's say, for the album releases that really had just a little space between the releases, just 1 year. That was, of course, the advantage that we had through COVID, that we had for sure more time to work straight on all the stuff. Touring would have taken time away from that.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, I understand what you're saying, where you're coming from, because ever since we started the podcast a couple of years ago, we try to cover as much music as we can. We try to listen to all the, or at least the the important releases and all that. And we did actually feel that over COVID, we had so many releases and so much work in terms of listening to a lot of releases and really good work. And for instance, a scene like the prog metal scene, which is usually bands take years and years and years to put albums because it's very complex and all that. In this couple of years, like hundreds of magnificent prog metal and power metal and metal in general releases, because I think the bands were actually able to focus because they were not touring for the first time. So a lot of releases, a lot of music, like good music, like you could tell that they could actually focus and put a lot of effort and a lot of good output, a lot of good music. This couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And now we have the opposite of all that shit, and now the bands are all touring, but haven't canceled.
All of them. Absolutely.
Because autumn begins again, winter comes, so all are freaking out, and especially here in Germany.
You need to pay the bills. The tours actually not allowed to pay the bills. So everybody's touring.
Health minister here in Germany is, I don't want to talk about him. It's horrible, really. What's going on here? And he still tells us that we all still will die, if we don't take care, take masks, and But then they do stuff like in the plane, you don't need masks anymore, but in the train, yes, So because the air condition in planes is a little bit better, I'm sorry. I mean,
no, that's
I
understand. Yeah.
It's just really boring me. They completely fit with COVID, really.
Right. We're gonna try to summarize a little bit the. Sorry. Second.
Sorry. The only thing I can say is that now all the bands are really touring, and you hear it from every corner, from every band. You don't get nightliners. They are all booked out. The venues, they are all booked out. Because every band is touring now. But then you look at Facebook, Instagram. Sorry, our tour is cancelled. Or it comes as we had it. We wanted to tour with Manimal, a Swedish band. Now in September, it got cancelled because too low ticket sales. It's a small band, still too low ticket sales. All the big bands, the huge bands, they get the tickets, people run there because, of course, for their money, they want to see a big show, and with huge bands, you have better performance at the end, stage acting and stage picture, and all that. Yeah,
Even Ghost, even Tobias Ford from Ghost says he isn't touring right now because of that. Because everyone is touring and say, okay, we prefer don't to tour right now. He went only to USA and stop right now.
And they are gigantic.
And in Ghost is
Incredible.
Ghost is one of the biggest.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So
in Chile,
really strange world in the moment, really.
Yeah, in Chile, in September and October and November, I think as well.
Yeah,
like it's incredible the amount of shows. Actually, obviously, metalheads probably don't have all the money to go and see all the bands, but it is crazy. There is one week where you got Wednesday a big band, Thursday, Saturday, and a Sunday, but it is absolutely mental.
Yeah.
Yes, in 1 week we had Judo, Beast in Black, Nightwish, Timo Tolkki, Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah.
I don't know, in the same week.
I was in the same week. It's
in Chile.
And we are in the other side of the world. I mean, these guys are. So it's crazy.
And where should people put all the money in that they have left over now? Where everything got so cheap in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. We're gonna try and summarize a bit this long conversation we've had, Thomen. But we're gonna just give us a second to see if we can
tratar de resumir esto. Mira, básicamente se le partió la pregunta conversando con cómo fue este tiempo del COVID para la banda, y claramente ellos refieren que se permitieron componer mucho porque estaban en tiempo encerrado. O sea, a ellos les surgió la capacidad de componer y por eso salieron prácticamente 3 discos. A la vez, dentro del tema, comentamos de que muchas bandas y mucha buen metal salió en estos tiempos porque las bandas que antes se daban tiempo para girar, todo, y que no tenían tiempo para componer tan estático, ahora lo tenían de sobra. Entonces, por eso encontramos discos maravillosos. Toda la semana hablamos de discos espectaculares que han salido en los últimos tiempos. Y
le preguntamos personalmente también cómo a Thomen le había afectado.
Y él tuvo COVID ahora en febrero y por suerte había grabado todo el material del último disco de Mentalist, pero que estuvo más o menos 3 meses, que lo pasó bastante mal, que subió una escalera, se ahogaba, y que obviamente agradece, ahora está bien, pero que agradece que el COVID le dio después del periodo de grabar la banda. Y que por fin se está acabando, pero lamentablemente con el fin del periodo del COVID, ahora todas las bandas salieron de golpe, y que por ejemplo ellos tenían gira con Manimal, la banda sueca, que también lanzó este disco este año, y les cancelaron la gira porque básicamente hay tantas bandas girando, como pasa acá en Chile y como pasa en todos lados del mundo, que prácticamente no hay venta de tickets. Todos los días tienes 3, 4 bandas tocando, tienes que elegir, y al final todas las bandas, salvo las bandas grandes, que obviamente van a comerse todos los tickets, las bandas chicas están teniendo muy pocas ventas de entrada.
Sí, eso lo comentaba al principio, que las bandas grandes ahora son más grandes, ¿cachai? Y las bandas chicas lo tienen más difícil todavía.
Andreas, an old school friend from mine.
Oh, there you go then.
Oh, cool.
Andreas,
Tú dices,
right here.
¿Tienes preguntas?
Si tiene alguna pregunta buena ahí, yo sabes. Si
de Mentalist tengo, I have one a question from the fans. Herrera Scott is asking, what is the inspiration for the name Mentalist?
It was Peter's idea. He came up with the idea already when we started the band. He said, I want to name the band Mentalist. And we said, okay.
There you go.
Your choice.
I have a question here. Actually, you did answer it to some extent already, but I am going to ask it anyways. It's just during the 90s, probably power metal, was still developing, and I think that the biggest and the most important bands of the genre, they all come from the late 80s and 90s. And so all of these bands, you would feel like, it felt like every band had a very unique sort of identity. When you think of Blind Guardian, Rhapsody, Stratovarius, Halloween, Nightwish, so on and so forth, Hammerfall, they were all quite, very distinguishable, very unique. And I feel like, obviously as the time passes and as the genres, there's an evolution, there's more bands. Nowadays, I feel like, sometimes it's difficult to actually, it's not like that anymore, in the sense that obviously, because there's already been 30 years of the genre, now there's a lot of bands that you see, they sound a bit like this, or, they are not very original. So there is a thing about the sound being a bit original and not to sound just like other bands, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to ask you about that in terms of Mentalist. If this thing about trying to sound original is something that is something that you worry about, is something that you guys, when you're writing, try to sound distinctive, or that's not a thing at all, and you just do whatever it feels right from your heart, and if do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's say it this way. Mentalist is always open for everything, as I said. And we have, of course, our idols, and inside the band, Peter was a big fan of Blind Guardian, is a very big fan of Iron Maiden, and I think he will ever be. I like Iron Maiden too in the early years. Nowadays, not too much anymore. It's still good, but for me, nothing new anymore. And and I think what we are doing with Mentalist is let's say, a combination of all the styles that we love, where we come from. I mean, when I play drums, everybody says, Tom, it sounds directly, this is the old Blind Guardian drummer. You know what I mean? It's your style. Yeah, that's what people say. It doesn't matter if you play in Mentalist, Savage Circus, in Cold Seat, or in Blind Guardian itself. It doesn't matter. It's your style. Yeah. So of course I bring in this style, and Peter brings in, of course, the Iron Maiden melodics, because he consumed them so much. It's and if you listen to the melodies, you always think sometimes, wait, from which album do I know this?
Yeah.
You will not find it. It is the point.
Exactly.
You will not find it. These are all new melodies. They
Absolutely,
have the style of that band, and this is the really cool thing on that, because, as you know, I come from Blind Guardian, and Blind Guardian was always a band that said, wait, it sounds a little bit like that band, okay, throw it in the trash can, and we didn't take it, and then we composed a new part. It was always like that. And I think in Mentalist we would not even be so strong with that, but it's not even necessary to be strong with that, because
absolutely,
naturally that Peter and Kai come up with these kind of melodies, and the combination of these two guitarists brings the main style into the band, topped with the drums, my style, and our Nightingale, Rob Lundgren. He's our Nightingale. Really, this guy is amazing. Really, he has a voice,
he's got a great voice. Yes, absolutely,
incredible. And we really, and then I must say, additionally, Mike Lepont from Symphony X is a guest bassist for us. It is not possible for him to take him over always for live shows if we play live. So we will have another bassist then, for live shows. At the moment, we have from Matt Butcher, the female bassist in the band that should have played with us, but as you know, it didn't happen at the end, because of the cancellation of that tour. That's the point. And Oliver Palotai from Camelot, the keyboarder, he does a great job for us also since the first album. It is amazing what he does. And they really add great quality on top of what we do already by our own,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Le dai Karim?
Karim, we don't hear you.
Sí, dale. Okay. Dale, Hernán.
No, bueno, yo le pregunté acerca del sonido un poco de Mentalist, porque, ¿no es cierto? Hoy en día, como hay tantas bandas y es casi imposible sonar 100% original, porque, ¿no es cierto? Ya las cosas, no estamos en los 90, donde el power metal, ¿no es cierto?, se estaba desarrollando de muchas formas distintas y los sonidos eran muy distintivos. Hoy en día a veces nos cuesta, ¿no es cierto?, y con todos los estilos, decir como, puta, ya esto, ya no hay nada nuevo. Entonces yo le pregunté si eso era un tema cuando ellos escribían en Mentalist, si trataban de sonar originales o no. Y básicamente Thomen nos contaba, bueno, una conversación larga, pero nos decía que hacen lo que les suena natural, que obviamente tienen influencias, que obviamente tú puedes quizás distinguir alguna influencia por aquí y por allá, pero que en realidad no es algo que les preocupe demasiado y que, bueno, básicamente él también está muy contento con el output que tiene la banda, con las composiciones de los miembros originales, con las colaboraciones de Palotai, que es el teclista de Camelot. Nos contaba un poco también de las colaboraciones de Mike LePont, que es el bajista de Symphony X. Entonces, sí, en resumen, como no es algo que les preocupara demasiado, pero de hecho, y contó algo que me pareció chistoso, que lo voy a mencionar, que cuando estaba en Blind Guardian decía que como cuando ellos estaban componiendo y escribían algo, y si alguno de ellos escuchaba que eso sonaba a otra cosa, que lo descartaban al tiro y que volvían a escribir. Y me parece interesante porque de hecho Blind Guardian hasta siempre fue una banda súper única y nada sonaba como Blind Guardian, aparte de Savage Circus, que yo creo que sí sonaba mucho como ellos, pero claro, o sea, como que me hace sentido con lo que me contaba. You know, I was summarizing, you know, your comments on my question, and actually I explained what you said about I thought it was really funny, and it made a lot of sense when you said, like, you know, in Blind Guardian, if we wrote something that sounded like something else, we would actually just get rid of it and write again. And and me in my head, I was thinking, actually, that makes sense because at least before Savage Circus, which I think is very similar, before that, Blind Guardian was one of those ones, was one of the very, very few bands that no other band in the world sounded like Blind Guardian, and Blind Guardian didn't sound like any other band in the world. So and so kind of, you know, it kind of makes sense with what you just said. So I would just mention that I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
And I don't know why, but there have been a lot of years since the existence of Blind Guardian that, as you saw with other bands, always that there existed any band that covered that band.
Absolutely, yeah.
Almost never, you know.
And that's why he said to me, it was just Savage Circus that it's similar.
Persuader.
Apart from that,
yeah,
because
right,
you're there.
right.
Yeah, but that came. Yeah, but Persuader came many years afterwards. Yeah.
But don't forget, Savage Circus just got founded. Yeah, because of that. Because when I left Guardian, it was a time when I had already a little bit problems with the style that happened from the early years to the later years. It was everything was great stuff, no doubt about it. But I thought that this is the wrong way for the band, to go on. That was one of the reasons why I left. There were also personal problems later, and I don't want to talk about it, but now we are good friends again, you know, after all those years. Everything fine with Blind Guardian, and this is the most important for me, you know. So, but at that time, we were not able to keep together. It was not.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there were definitely also style reasons for me, and that was the way to create or to found Savage Circus, to go on with the old style, and that is why it sounds like that. And when I heard from Pete at that time that Jens from Persuader sounds almost the same as Hansi, what Hansi doesn't think like that, he says, no, I don't think he sounds like me. And everybody says usually.
Yes.
That's funny. It's funny that Hansi does not think that.
Yeah, he really told me, no, I cannot understand it. But maybe it's because it's his own voice. Maybe for him it's completely different when he listens to it.
That's true, because we all, as human beings, I think that the way we listen our own voice is different to how other people listen to our voices.
Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons why Hansi sees it like that. And
I mean that's the only possible explanation, unless he's deaf.
For me too, because
it's very similar.
It is incredible. Even the roughness in the voice is almost the same. You know, it is incredible, really. And when I heard him first time, I said, "Wow, that's the guy." You know, and then he could even really sing the the style from Hansi, you know, the way to sing,
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
melodies, because he was a big Blind Guardian fan too, you know, and
Yeah,
Jörg,
absolutely.
Blind
Must have been,
Guardian, and Emil, the guitarist too, you know, he's a brother from the guitarist here from Nocturnal Rites, you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. No. And
Great
yeah,
band too. Yeah.
yeah, you see, and you see how the connections all happen to be, you know. It's really funny sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's-
When
that's
when you were when you were actually talking to us about, you know, how Mentalist actually was born, yeah, you know, made me laugh inside, that, you know, when you started, you know, saying,
Yeah.
oh, you know, and this guy from this band, this other guy from this other band, and this guy happened to know this guy, and I was like, oh, you know, I mean, even though it's a big world, it's a small, you know, I suppose within the
Exactly,
metal genre, it's a small world anyway, I suppose.
it's a big world, but it's anyway small. You know, that's everybody knows everybody anyhow. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah. Right.
Bueno, esto fue la continuación de la pregunta anterior, porque Hernán le empezó a explicar lo que había sentido con esto de cómo había sido todo.
De que Blind era súper único, sonaba súper
único. De que Blind era súper único, y al final ahí salió la idea, salió un poco primero a contar Thomen que él, si bien en su momento se salió de Blind Guardian por problemas y con la banda, que actualmente primero no tiene ningún drama con toda la banda de Blind Guardian y son buenos amigos. Segundo, que cuando él sale, él tenía conflicto con este nuevo sonido que empezaba a producir Blind Guardian, y él quería producir el sonido antiguo, y de ahí nace Savage Circus, que para los que no lo escucharon, es una banda que suena a Blind Guardian antiguo, así como por ahí Persuader, y de hecho él dice que se consiguieron un cantante que cantaba muy parecido a Hansi, y que Hansi, según Hansi, no hay ningún cantante que cante como él, y que ni el cantante de Persuader ni el cantante de Savage Circus, que para nosotros cantan calcados, él dice que no lo escucha distinto. Básicamente eso, que pero fue un proceso y que actualmente
estábamos bromeando
bien,
de eso, pero sí, una cosa importante es que ahora está todo bien, digamos. Sí, and last thing about the Mentalist or the new album is like, so what's next, or you know, what's now for the band? You know, you just released this album, so you know, what are the next steps? What are you guys thinking of doing?
We will see if we can still play any live show or shows this year, and will be difficult. Maybe we will see. Let's see what comes up, you know, and will be just a short-term announcement if we do so. Of course, there's not too much time. If we play, for example, in November or December, we can just announce it, let's say in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, if this is going to happen. So there's not a long announcement time before it, you know. So I think it will. Sorry.
No, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Carry on, please.
Okay, no problem. I think it will more be in the beginning. It will happen more in the beginning of next year, something like that, and then we will see if we can jump maybe on a small tour, a support or something. You know, something live must happen anyhow. You know, that people feel that this band exists and it's alive. You know, this
absolutely
band is not just a studio band. You know,
studio band. Yeah.
It's not a matter of playing. I don't know, 100 shows. It's a matter of playing at all live. That's
to make it happen. Actually, I well, I'm thinking out loud now. I hadn't prepared this question, but I think that listening to this last album, to me, actually, the album kind of grew on me, because when I heard it for the first time, although I liked it, I didn't love it immediately. But you know, actually, in preparation for this interview, and because I wanted to keep listening, because actually, you know, the album had a good reception. We reviewed, we actually discussed it during our last podcast session. And the people was very enthusiastic about it, and I was like, I need to listen to it again, because in the beginning, although I liked it, I didn't overly loved it. And actually, I've been listening. I have been listening to it ever since, and every time I play it, I like it more. And now I keep, like, you know, I sing the things in my head, like Lana.
Sorry, you are away now.
I think I lost.
Yes.
You guys lost me.
You went down.
Yeah.
Now you are here again.
You were singing.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Basically, yeah. Now I find myself singing, the Mentalist songs and all that. So what I want to say is that I think that the more you listen to the album, the more things you discover, the better it grows on you, or at least that's what happened to me.
Exactly.
And connected to the point is that I think that live it would work really well. So I really hope that you guys can manage
especially if we take from all three albums the best of songs,
Oh yeah.
Because that will be a big part, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But what you feel or what you felt about the album when you listen to that the first times, yeah. And you said you need to listen more and more to this. This is what I told you in the beginning. You remember that people are split in their opinions, yeah. And you are one of the ones that said, "Oh, it takes some time," because I can even explain why this is going to happen or why this happened to you and many other people first time anyhow with this album, because this album is even more has more variations in the song styles. Yeah, it is wider, brighter, okay, from the styles. And if I would have to compare it with anything else, yeah, than itself, it would be the Blind Guardian thing that people always say about Blind Guardian. If I listen it the 100th time, I still explore things and I still find very little sound, and it is not that extremely detailed now here on the Mentalist album, but there are still some little things in the music that you always find out with more listening and more listening. Yeah. And we will not do it as Blind Guardian, put even more on the next album. It can happen with a Mentalist now that the next album will be a punch in the face, from the beginning to the end. Yeah. Just fast songs. Everything is possible. You never know. We have already a big part of the songs for the fourth album. They are still not completely done. Yeah. And Kai and Peter, they have even written already songs for the fourth album when they were last.
So you guys don't stop, every 6 months, every 8 months, you're putting out a new record.
And Peter is so funny. I asked him about that one day, and Kai is a little bit more relaxed with that. But Peter is such a how should I explain it? He's so funny sometimes, really. I asked him, Peter, why do you want to hurry so much, with every album? And he said, it's a pretty easy thing. I have so much ideas in my head. I'm afraid of that if I wait too long, they will be gone someday, and I cannot do them before.
So he needs to put them out. It's like emptying.
I get what you mean. So exactly. He wants to record them, and then they are done. And he cannot forget them anymore. And you can go on already with songwriting for maybe the 5th and 6th album.
It surprises me, that talent and the capacity and the creativity of some people just to write songs so quickly. And it is not and it's remarkable because Mentalist songs are, with all due respect, I love AC/DC, but they are not AC/DC songs. It's not like a 3, 4, 5 chords.
Another
song,
thing.
These are like complex compositions, and nevertheless the guy seems just to be able to write songs. It's incredible. We interviewed Tim Tolkien the other day, and he said, help me remember, Karim, but we asked him about Visions, which we think is the best Stratovarius album, and he said I wrote that thing in what did we say, a couple of hours? It was a day and a half, something like that. It was incredible. Yeah,
in a tour.
Incredible.
It was stay and then start composing.
Yeah.
PV Wagner also surprises me. The guy just puts album after album after album. It's like,
they did it already in the previous years, a lot of years ago. They did it already, that they sometimes released 2 Rage albums, for example, in 1 year or something. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
And on top of that, he's got his, Lingua Mortis orchestra projects and some other collaborations. It's like a never-ending source of creativity. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But with Mentalist, see it a little bit like that, Hernan. All the band members in Mentalist, they are not so long in a band playing professional as we do now with Mentalist, as they did already with Blind Guardian. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They are all fresh in their heads. You know, they have ideas. Yeah, it's incredible. And I could not even follow with that, you know, ideas. I mean, this Out of the Dark is written by me mostly, you know, on the new album. And Kai and Peter, they took it and said, okay, we will mentalize it a little bit, you know. It was really funny. Yeah. Then they came up with that and I said, I'm still not happy with that. And then they grew on, you know, they went on with that and said, okay, but in which way do you want it more? And then I said, with the melodies from the guitars, do it more like that. And I was singing, you know, to Kai and Peter to that. I said, okay, we'll work on that. And then 2 weeks later or something, they came up, do you want to listen to Out of the Dark again? You know, and I said, yeah, send it. Yeah. And they sent it. And I said, that's the way, my friends. That's it. You know, that's what I want. And then came Rob even. The vocal lines they are also from me on that song, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and I sent it to Rob, and Rob said, okay, we can work with that, but it will sound a little bit different when I sing. And I said, yeah, do it, just do it. I want to have a great song, you know. And then he came up with that, and then Kai, Peter, and Rob, they created that last slow part that happens before the last chorus in that song.
Yeah.
And I love this one. I really, and it's one of the most favorite parts for Rob on the album too. He said, I really love it. It has so much emotion, you know. Really cool. Yeah.
Voy a tratar de resumir todo lo que conversamos, pero básicamente partió la pregunta por qué se viene con Mentalist en el futuro, y la idea de Thomen y la banda es tocar en vivo. O sea, en el fondo, si bien está difícil y no pueden anunciar nada en este momento, pero la idea es tocar en vivo porque ellos quieren dejar claro que ellos son una banda real y no son un proyecto de estudio, que ellos quieren tocar, no tienen por qué ser 100 shows, pero quieren tocar en vivo y que la gente sepa que la banda tiene material para tocar en vivo. Además, ahí empezaron a conversar de que a Hernán y a mí nos parece que hay muchos temas que claramente tienen esa vibra, esa sensación que tú lo escuchas y que...
I'm just going to get some water. I'll be right back.
Ya, que el tema los temas van creciendo a medida que los escuchas y que son muchos temas para tocarse en vivo, y salió el tema donde, por ejemplo, Hernán, el disco al principio no le entró tanto, pero ya después de 3, 4 escuchas ya lo entendió y ya le gustaría escuchar esto en vivo porque sonaría mejor. Además de eso, de todas formas, dice que ya están bastante del material del próximo disco escrito, porque Peter Mock tiene una mente que está todo el tiempo generando canciones nuevas, generando, y que podría tener perfectamente ya canciones para el 5º o 6º disco, y que de hecho Thomen le preguntó, oye, pero ¿no deberías calmarte? Él dijo, el problema es que tengo toda esta información en la cabeza, tengo que producir las canciones, y si no las produzco, se pierden. Así que, de todas formas, están componiendo, así que se viene algo en el futuro, aparte de música, aparte de canciones en vivo, todo eso. Y además nos contó que, de hecho, en Blind Guardian, que una de las características de la banda es que es muy libre, que como él es el único que tiene una experiencia profesional, aquí todos vienen con idea, y de hecho, Out of the Dark, que es una canción que compuso Thomen, la presentó los guitarristas Kai y Peter, la escucharon y dijeron, queremos mentalizarla un poco, para que suene como para nosotros. 2 semanas después volvieron con el material, hicieron una prueba, les gustó. Después vino la composición de las líneas vocales, donde Thomen se las mandó a Rob, y Rob la escuchó y dijo, me gusta, pero va a sonar distinto. Lo dejó libre, y que el tema, que ahora es maravilloso, y que de hecho él encuentra que tiene partes que nunca se le hubieran ocurrido para hacerlo mejor, ocurre por esto, porque son gente que está libre de ideas y que no tiene ninguna regla. O sea, compone totalmente desde el corazón, y no es como queremos copiarnos, sino que sacamos los que nos nacen. Creo que vamos a ver.
Sí, no, perfecto. Muy buen resumen. Sí. Right. Next question is that. Oh, sorry, guys. Right. So, looking at your career, from Blind Guardian to Circus, Mentalist, With the exception of Cold Seed, which I think is a bit different, you've always stayed, very strong in power metal, and the kind of the classic power metal sound. Is this because this is the style of music you like the most, or you feel more comfortable doing? Is what you really like, or are you also interested in? You have plans to explore maybe other genres, other sounds or types of music?
I'm open for everything. Let's say it like that. But of course, my favorite style is power metal. I come from there and I stay there. Yeah, that's the point. And maybe someday when I'm old, play all the double bass, maybe I will do some Bon Jovi music or something. You never know. I love Bon Jovi. Really,
yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. And I hear a bright variety of music, as Hansi does from Blind Guardian too. He introduced me to a lot of stuff that he was listening when I still played in Blind Guardian. For example, Lorena McKenna was really cool with all this Celtic stuff. I loved it.
Okay.
Kate Bush, I loved. You see, it's completely different style, yeah, and. I'm a big fan of Genesis and especially of Phil Collins, who's one of my biggest idols in drumming, because he's one of the most melodic drummers in the world for me. And followed by Simon Phillips, who used to play in Toto and the Sin After Sin album from Judas Priest, Mike Oldfield, stuff like that. He is a very great drummer. And if it comes to the point that I have to tell you a drummer that comes more from the progressive.
I was going to just say that because you were mentioning legends from the prog rock, and then I was just making connections in my head because I was watching your videos today, YouTube videos that you play and say I was looking at Battlefield, which is a mind-blowing song for me, and I can see really complex patterns and things that you do with the drums that are not overly present in the traditional power metal, but you can see some prog techniques there. So I'm not sure. I suppose that comes from that sort of influence. So as you were saying these names, I was kind of making those connections in my head.
Exactly. And one of there's a song that I covered too on my Thomen Drum Chamber channel on YouTube. And this is from Queensryche, Rage for Order. And Walk in the Shadows. One of my favorite songs. I love this band, or I loved this band at that time, because latest with Promised Land for me, there it stopped being one of my favorite bands, just the old albums, and he was one of the favorite drummers from me, Scott Rockenfield, really, as it regards to progressive drumming, he is one of the best for me still. The style, he plays as progressive style. This is what I really loved, because he could play very, very progressive without teasing you, without interrupting you, during the music. It was like, it had to be like that, what he played there. It was not like, look, I can play, and here a little ding ding and there a little dong dong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Too much.
Actually, that happens when I'm listening to Neil Peart from Rush. I think the guy is so incredibly good because his music was always on the service of the music. He was so musical that even though there weren't just fireworks just for the sake, because he could do absolutely everything. But sometimes it's just about keep it more simple. I don't know, but it's
and I think
relate to what you say.
I think at these times Neil Peart was for sure the best in this genre, progressive rock, progressive metal, for sure. But I loved what he did, but it was never my favorite style. I just loved what he did, but it was not my favorite style. My favorite style in progressive drumming was Scott Rockenfield. He had something special. I don't know. It just got me. It caught me. And it never let me go again. It was incredible what this guy did.
Well, how could it? I mean, the 80s albums of Queensryche are just perfect. Yeah. It's lovely to have this sort of musical conversation. It's just difficult for us to summarize it to our audience, but let's try again with trying to summarize this. Entonces, sí, Karim, cuéntale un poco lo que hablamos recién.
Micrófonos activados. Sí. Para interrumpir. Básicamente la pregunta partió por esto de que él haya desarrollado en distintos tiempos el power metal, salvo en Colsit en particular y Dawn of Amber, que no la conozco mucho. Siempre fue Blind Guardian, Circus y Mentalist, sus 3 bandas principales. Y si ellos decidieron hacer Mentalist más power metal porque les gustaba o por eso. Y de ahí empezó a hablar de todos sus gustos, sus bateristas legendarios, sus bandas principales, donde por ejemplo Queensryche de los 80 le encanta mucho el sonido de Ratch, de Peter Gabriel, todo, pero que aún así, a pesar de que le encanta el progresivo, lo que más siente, por decirlo así, es el power metal. Y que de ahí va eso. No sé si le quiere agregar algo, pero fue como el...
Ese es un buen resumen. En resumen, que power metal es lo que más le gusta y por eso siempre ha hecho power metal, que tiene harta influencia de algunos bateristas de la escena del rock progresivo, el baterista de Toto, el baterista de Queensryche, Phil Collins, ¿cachai? Yo le decía que claro, que uno puede notar que en el estilo que él toca hay influencia y hay cosas técnicas que vienen de ese mundo, más que del power metal más tradicional. Así que claro, estábamos hablando un poco de esas cosas. Another question regarding, how different it is, the dynamics of being in a band like, Blind Guardian, which is it's a huge band, and to be then in other a bit like smaller bands, because I was thinking, and basically from this perspective, I was thinking, gosh, it must be so time consuming to be in a band like Blind Guardian, because it's so big, so it must be so absorbing and etc. And then on the same train of thoughts, I was like, but also I suppose when you're in a smaller band, then in small bands the members have to do everything, whereas when you're in a big band you have a management and they sort things for you out. I don't know, so I would just what I mean. So I was just wondering how it is in terms of the dynamics of being in a big band and then in maybe a newer or smaller band, in terms of how time consuming it is, how absorbing, how does it feel, basically, how different it is.
I can really answer a lot to this, I must say. It's not meant that I did not answer a lot before already. So, but
that's right. Okay, yeah. No, it's also my fault because I don't ask specific questions. I tend to make like big questions. So sorry about that.
Yeah. No, but how should I explain it? In Mentalist, I think we are still for sure, compared to Blind Guardian, a really small band. Yeah. So, but Peter is giving us a lot of possibilities in the band because he's the boss. He's the one who carries more or less all the financial stuff because he came from a big business and he has really extremely different possibilities compared to the rest of the band members, So, and of course, and because he pays a lot of stuff that needs to be paid, he's of course automatically also the boss because he's also the founder of the band.
Absolutely, naturally, that makes sense. Yeah,
nobody has any problem with that, and everybody is thankful for this to Peter and says, "Wow, without you, all this would not be possible." That's a fact. Okay, so and of course, playing in Blind Guardian is a very interesting thing. If you start with a band, you grow and grow, and then you are someday you are used to this success you have with a band. And then for you, it's natural, it's normal, at any point. You go on stage, you play Wacken, there are 70,000 people, and you say, wow, huge, and you play it one time. Next time you come to Wacken, there are maybe 80,000, and you say, okay, I'm used to that from last time. You know what I mean? You as a person, you get anyhow used to this numbers of people.
The dimensions are like the scope is just massive.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you play then club shows again or normal venues, you have maybe 5,000 people, 3,000, 1,000 people. Depends on which country you play, which venue you play, which city. It's a big variation between the numbers. Okay, but of course, when I left Blind Guardian, I was aware of that I am going to start smaller again. Of course, with Savage Circus, we had still, let's say, we had started in a still good time musical wise. Okay, there you still had possibilities to sell albums. Okay. Nowadays, you cannot live from music anymore as long as you are not
digital. Yeah,
exactly. As long as you are not a band called Iron Maiden, Blind Guardian, Halloween. You can't really live from the music anymore. That's impossible. Yeah, and if we would not have Peter in the band, things would look extremely different, I must say. That's the truth. Yeah, I cannot say anything else to that. Yeah, and we are really, really glad about this situation that he gives us all this possibility. Because believe me, after Blind Guardian, I have seen worse times, much worse times. Yeah, and when Peter came up with this band, it gave me new opportunities, possibilities. Yeah, and I was really thankful for this, and we started this, and now I'm really happy. We are such a big unidad,
yeah, family. Yeah. A unit, a family, a unit, a family.
Right. Yeah. And I hope it can go on like that. It would be great. So the band has to grow, because of course, the more we sell physical data, physical CDs, and not just streaming. Streaming is important too, of course, in every band history. Meanwhile, but a band alone cannot live from streaming. We all lived at the good times from record sales, CD sales, video,
live shows, I suppose, the tours, shows, I suppose,
and live shows is now even more and more important, because the bands just earn money more or less with the money they get for the live shows or for T-shirts, for merchandise. That is, and this is why they have to play. But the problem is when there is no money income from too less record sales. You cannot invest this money for long tourings. That's the point. It's like a devil's circle, and this is what a lot of things. It's not meant in a bad way from me, but a lot of people, the listeners outside, don't know this problem around the band, that this is going to happen. And then they wonder why did they give me such a bad show tonight? There was nothing special. They played and that's it. No big stage acting or
fireworks.
Fireworks and all that. If I go to Iron Maiden, they explode everything. Of course.
They just only play. They just only play in the show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is the point, and people must wake up and see that bands need to be supported by record sales again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blind Guardian, I know that they still have a very true, loyal fan base. They still buy a lot of physical CDs. And this is good, but mostly it happens just with bands that are already big. But the small bands need that support even more than the big ones.
And exactly, and that's why you see them all the time touring. You see that even the really small bands have their own merchandise and all that. We have discussed this in the in the podcast, in the session sometimes, that say friend of mine, he's got a band here in the UK. They are a really, really small band, but I always see him doing marketing on social media, and they print T-shirts and that and stuff. And then I go like, yeah, of course. I mean, that's the only way that, probably that's the only way they can make some money to actually record some tracks. It's like you say, it's a vicious circle. I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult thing.
Hernan, do you think if somebody in Blind Guardian would have to work in a normal day job still nowadays, do you think they could tour as they tour nowadays? Impossible. But the smaller bands, they all have to do this because
Absolutely, yeah.
they have no possibility anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's sad. Yeah, and it is sad to realize that it's nothing to do with the quality of the music, because so many incredible bands, incredibly talented people, that just because of sales, then they have to have normal jobs, and I mean that's just the way it is. Yeah.
Let's see it like that. I'm a big supporter of streaming stuff. Yeah, because it gives a lot of big possibilities to a huge amount of people. Yeah, to listen to stuff that you still don't know. But the point is, if you like it, then buy the album. That's the point. Use your streaming possibilities to get your fucking, let's say, Spotify app to enter your car and start your playlist and listen it there. You don't need to change CDs in your car anymore.
Exactly.
For this, all perfect. But don't go and say, "Hey, you released a new album. Great! I will listen directly on Spotify now." And you don't.
That's what
the music world now. Yeah.
That's what I do, and my friends. We always talk about the fact that you use Spotify, you listen to an album, brilliant. And if you really like it, please buy the album, and then carry on listening on the Spotify, of course. But it's the only way to really support, our the artists that we love.
Yeah, and Alex Landenburg from Camelot and Peter, our boss here at Mentalist, they founded a new company now, a streaming app. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just for rock and metal bands at the moment, where the money, that gets usually cross-financed between the big pop acts, like for example Lady Gaga, okay, something like that. Yeah, and they get the big share of all the streams, because all the income gets shared by percentage of how much streams and followers that they have. So all the metal bands, they even get less than the pop acts. And this is a revolution in the streaming world, what they did now. And it is so great. And every band that maybe listens to this interview now, you can contact me over Facebook, Instagram, doesn't matter, whatever. Or if you have my email address, mail@Thomen-drumchamber.com. You can write to me and I will send you a PDF file. We can make a video chat later about that. This is a revolution in streaming. And I want all the bands to know that, because it's a bigger share of all the streaming amount that we pay out. Yeah, and there is so much gimmicks in it, even for the listeners that will make a subscription to this streaming.
What's the name? Can you write it in the? We have in a chat.
I have to go to YouTube.
Or maybe later. I mean,
or send me by Instagram the name, and I will put in the.
Okay.
Actually, I was gonna say that it sounds really interesting, Thomen, and I think that we can do is that we can promote. We can help you obviously promote this platform as much as we can, at least for our following. And maybe we can even have you another time, just another regular session, just talking about this streaming innovation or whatever. But anything we can do to support and help the scene,
in this streaming world, because all the bands, they get a affiliate link, that subscribers can subscribe to Rock app over the favorites band link. And then the band gets, from this subscription money they pay every month, they get about $1. It's 10% of the net income subscription fee the band gets every month for every subscriber.
No, that's really good. That's like you say. If that takes up, that's going to be revolutionary. And because it is absolute. Yeah, it is appalling. It is really saddening to see how I couldn't believe it. Now everybody knows, but in the beginning, I don't think many people was aware of the fact that platforms like Spotify, Deezer, YouTube, all these things, the amount of money that they pay to the artists, for the amount of time their songs are played is nothing. It's like 0.0000001 cent per play, and obviously these guys make millions and billions. So it is ridiculous.
And the concept behind this Rock app now that Peter and Alex are doing, we pay out about 3 times as high for every stream as Spotify, for example, does, as all the other big streaming apps do, And additionally, this let's say band dollar, for every subscriber. It's incredible, this concept.
We can,
really. When I heard about it, I was like, wow, incredible.
PowerMetal.cl supports that.
Yeah, we're gonna help promoting that.
Voy a tratar de resumir todo. I will try to resume the question. Básicamente, la pregunta partió qué tan diferente era estar en Blind Guardian con Mentalist. Dice primero que los tiempos son muy distintos, que obviamente en Blind Guardian de partida una banda gigante que incluso se mantiene por los discos, y que Mentalist parte de un proyecto donde el Peter Mock, que es el dueño de la banda, porque él la creó, porque él es el que paga los sueldos, todo, él es el que sostiene la banda. Y que él se hace cargo de que todos son felices, todos entienden eso, y que por eso la banda funciona bien, y entienden toda su parte. Y después esto fue pasando al tema de cómo el mundo actual, las bandas tienen que luchar por sobrevivir, porque no les llega dinero de Spotify, espantamos de ahí, o sea, todo el mundo lo sabe, pero el pago, un mínimo, es muy poco, y las bandas en verdad, donde pueden obtener dinero es en discos físicos, en merchandising y en tours en vivo. Entonces, lamentablemente, Spotify es muy cómodo, porque, por ejemplo, tú puedes escucharlo en todos lados, y él agradece también que el Spotify permite a muchas bandas presentarse, o sea, eso también hay que reconocerlo. Es una forma que nosotros podemos acceder a bandas que jamás sabríamos que existieran. Sí. Pero que a la vez los fans tienen que tratar, así como Blind Guardian, por ejemplo. Blind Guardian es una de esas bandas que puede subsistir porque vende discos, y eso permite que, por ejemplo, ellos no tengan que trabajar.
Claro, y él decía que en realidad son mínimas las bandas que pueden hacer eso, de metal son las más grandes nomás. Entonces, básicamente él reforzaba la idea de decir, ok, si te gusta algo, compra el álbum, porque es la única forma de darle soporte y de ayudar a estas bandas, digamos. Y sí, por ahí obviamente nos fuimos hablando por esos derroteros.
Y aquí está, lo otro es esto, que es Rock App, una aplicación nueva que fue creada, entiendo, por Alex Landenburg y algunos socios, para tratar de crear un sistema de streaming donde las bandas puedan obtener dinero de verdad. Sí. Es, no sé los precios, pero no es caro. Pero en el fondo,
no para nada.
Esto funciona de una manera mucho más beneficiosa para las bandas, a través de suscripción, de todo esto, pero las bandas reciben mucho más dinero directamente, lo que hace que a él le parece un tremendo proyecto. De hecho, Thomen está involucrado, y él nos deja claro, cualquier persona puede acceder a la app, y cualquier persona, yo voy a dejar el mail ahora mismo, el mail de Thomen, para que si alguna banda está interesada en pertenecer a esto y poder entrar en este sistema, que lo contacte, les van a mandar un PDF, pueden incluso hacer un chat donde les va a explicar cómo funciona.
Sí, no, suena a la raja. Yo creo que es interesante que las bandas o al que esté interesado lo pueda al menos revisar, porque suena, o sea, por lo menos sin saber los detalles técnicos, desde la filosofía de la aplicación suena mucho mejor, porque al final del día Thomen dice, claro, nace de eso. Ya que el streaming no le deja nada de plata a las bandas, hemos desarrollado esto que le va a permitir que a las bandas les llegue una contribución y les llegue un royalty mucho más justo y que les llegue más dinero al final del día. So yeah, we're just explaining our guys, obviously, things about the app, and yeah.
Ahí está el mail por si alguien está interesado en pertenecer a Rock App. PowerMetal apoya.
Amigos. Yeah. And one thing is, we are not, that you understand it correct, we are not trying to put people away from the other streaming apps.
No, exactly.
Stay there, yeah. And the really good thing is on the website later from the Rock app. And first important thing, it is still not active. We are now just gaining bands, that want to support us and that we can support through this. And in the beginning of 2023, maybe around February, March, there the app will be launched so that you can download it over Play Store, for example, and you can use it, But the bands can already sign in now to Rock app to be supporter, And then they get their affiliate link that they can present to their fans, in public media, like Facebook, Instagram, and say, if you want to support us, to earn a little bit more money than on usual streaming apps, here is our link. You can subscribe here to Rock app, That's the point behind it. And you can even use your old if you want to change or to go. Let's say you have Spotify, Amazon Music, stuff like that, and you have your playlists there. You can even convert them on our website to rock, and you will have the same playlist in our app. Then that is a really, really cool thing.
Cool.
So I'm 100% convinced about that system they are bringing up there, and it is a great idea from Peter.
Great.
I must say.
Ok, y Thomen nos termina de contar que la aplicación en sí todavía no está activa, va a estar activa probablemente en febrero del próximo año, pero que en este momento están reclutando bandas para empezar el trabajo. Entonces, si alguna, en serio, cualquier banda chilena, latinoamericana, española, alguien que nos esté escuchando en este momento y esté interesado en formar parte, que es una invitación a una manera distinta a tratar de que las bandas, al final las bandas hacen la música, es ridículo que Spotify se lleve todo el dinero, básicamente eso. Entonces, es una invitación a hacer un sistema de mercado que a todos les convenga y que las bandas también reciban su dinero, contactarlo directamente al mail y él les va a mandar el PDF porque están reclutando.
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
Then, we're gonna head to the very last section of the last few questions. Going back to the music itself. I have a question here that it's actually this is related to a very unfortunate event. I think it was back in 2000 or 2001. I don't remember.
2002.
2002.
Okay.
It was the Latin American tour from Blind Guardian, and you had, I think it was tendinitis, if I remember correctly, that you had, and unfortunately you can go to South America to tour with Blind Guardian. Alex Holsworth, I believe he was taken as a replacement.
Yes.
I just want, well, and obviously everybody that was there was.
It's a very important concert in Chile. I wasn't there, but all the guys in Chile are talks for like still they still talk about that concert in Chile.
They still talk about that one.
Yes, it was one of the legendary PowerMetal shows in Chile.
Yeah. Blind Guardian is very big in Chile, so I think that everybody was very gutted that you weren't there. But it was basically a really important thing.
At that point on that tour, because Brazil, South America in general was always, of course, a big success for us. And I remember the tour from the tour before. It was a big success already, and this time, even in Brazil, we had more shows than the tour before, and Chile was added as well, and I was like, wow, great. And then I got this problem with my hand that I had a lot of problems. I don't know what it was, over practicing or something like that. I had really big problems, and I was at the doctor. Maybe you remember that I had even a receipt from the doctor, that I sent in then, to show public to the people. And of course, we were doing jokes, with the band, and Thomen he didn't want, and stuff like that,
Oh,
yeah. Any bullshit stories that came up, but reality was really that I had a really big problem with my hand. And it was pain, and I could not play with that. And there were discussions in the band, like, then you at least have to fly with us and to stand behind the substitute drummer, but I was like, come on, I don't need to explain anything to anybody, if I'm sick, I'm sick, and that's it. That really does not make sense, and it would have even hurt me more, to stand there with the substitute drummer and cannot play by my own, and see the crowd singing and fuck, I want to play, and you cannot. It would have killed me, and no, absolutely, and I really declined. And I had a little fight with the band at that time already, about that. And I said, I'm sorry, you can be pissed off as much as you want, but I will not do it. Sorry, I will not fly with you just because of this. I'm here with you. I'm not a child.
No, like you say, you don't owe explanations to anybody. And on top of that, it's not like you were going to, a neighboring city. It was the other fucking side of the world as well. So,
Yeah.
No, and so but we're gonna comment that because I don't think anybody knew this on our end.
O sea,
Entonces, sí, Karim, no sé si
sí.
cachaste, sí.
O sea, es que he sabido de que tenía tendinitis, eso en la historia
Sí, eso
se
sí.
sabe de que cuando iban a venir a Chile en esa gira, que Thomen presentó tendinitis de muñeca, por tanto decidió bajarse. Pero lo que nos cuenta Thomen es que en ese momento la banda se le complicó bastante por el tema de que no puede ir, y de hecho le dijeron que querían que fuera, que estuviera como al lado del baterista, que en ese tiempo fue Oliver Holzgard, que estuvo ahí. No, no fue Oliver, fue.
Sí, fue,
Sí,
fue Holsworth, sí, de Rhapsody,
sí,
sí.
que estuvo ahí tocando, pero que les pareció no, Alex, Oliver el bajista, Alex Holzgard, sí, Oliver es de Blind Guardian.
I got the names mixed up, yeah. They're brothers, aren't they? Yeah, they're siblings.
I'm confused already too. Alex.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I'm very big fan of Rhapsody. I know that that is Alex. So, le decía que en el fondo, todos sabemos que Alex llegó, se aprendió la batería en el avión, todo, pero que la banda quería que viajara Thomen con ellos y que fue una discusión y él les dijo, no, a ver, yo tengo un problema en la mano y esto me preocupa, quiero recuperarme, por tanto, yo no voy a viajar. Y aparte que lo decía, no era un viaje como de Santiago a Valparaíso o un viaje cerca, era un viaje de un continente a otro para una gira donde iba a tener que estar y eso incluso podía ser PayPal. Así que ahí
no, y de hecho lo cuático, sí, eso es lo cuático, que dijo que más que una discusión, de hecho creo que ocupó la palabra fight, que es pelea, ¿cachai? Como que parece que en verdad el tema fue más o menos serio.
Así que eso.
Pero sí, así que eso. Something else I wanted to ask you here is about after you departed Blind Guardian. Yeah, I you already talked a little bit about that, and obviously it was a bit difficult for some time, but now you are in good terms, and it's everything all right now. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you about, like, if you listen to their following albums or the albums that they did without you, and if what do you think about
the new album
nowadays?
The new album
Twist in the Myth was not one of my favorite ones, really.
Right.
Not. And I could even hear that we had these problems, with the split. I can hear it.
Sorry, just to get it clear. So that was the musical direction that you didn't really like, before you or when you, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I heard at that point, I must say the album at the end became better than the demos I heard. Yeah, because the demo tapes, when we were still thinking about if we could go on together, as a band.
Yeah.
It was impossible at the end.
Yeah.
So that's why I quit the job finally, and
absolutely
I will be gone. And I was not really happy anyhow with the songs. Yeah, and I even mentioned that to Hansi at that time, and I said, Hansi, this is not because of our splitting terms now. This is really my private, personal opinion about the songs. Yeah, that I didn't get along with that anyhow. I was like, this is not what I want for Blind Guardian. But your decision, I said, and he was, I cannot understand. He could not really understand. Yeah, but okay, opinions are different, and I mean, they work on the songs, and of course, they like what they do. Of course, yeah, it's natural. And but for me, it was really a problem. Yeah, and I thought, well, under these conditions that we have now, and then with this development of the band in this direction, musical wise, wow, yeah. So I could not, I couldn't stay, and I quit the job. And then later, I must say, At the Edge of Time was a great album. This I really liked, and from the style, there were really great songs on it. And how was the previous one before the totally, how was it called, Beyond the Red Mirror, right?
Beyond the Red Mirror.
Beyond the Red
Mirror.
Yeah, I didn't even remember the name because I don't really listen to it.
Beyond the Red Mirror.
Don't like this album. I don't get along with that album, and I can really say it public here. I don't get along. It might be a great, fantastic album, but I don't get along with it. Yeah,
I am a huge fan of Blind Guardian, and that's the album that I like the least. I
Really?
don't really like it.
Then they released now the God Machine, and this is
between that was the Twilight Symphony, the album that between that was Twilight Symphony, that the album that doesn't.
The orchestral one.
Happened.
Yes.
The orchestral one. That's what the fuck.
I mean, okay, the orchestral one is a completely different thing for me. I like
it's a different project.
Yeah.
I think it's not a Blind Guardian album. It was a
Twilight Symphony. It is just released under the name Blind Guardian. What was it? Twilight Orchestra or
Twilight
something
Symphony.
Twilight
Orchestra.
Yeah.
Twilight Orchestra.
But let's talk about the good stuff. So, what do you think about the God Machine? Isn't it good?
Great album, fantastic, and I love Secrets of the American Gods. I love this song. It's so fucking great, really.
For many fans, it's the best album they have had after you left. Actually,
sorry.
No, for many fans, it's the best album they are put out after you left.
Yeah, I think so. It is like that. Yeah, for me too. I think so. Yeah.
Impressive album.
For sure, with At the Edge of Time together. These both albums.
For me, the Edge of Time is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and sorry, the last thing before we summarize this to our fans, as you were talking about A Twist in the Myth, I do remember that it was a really, really big change for me from what I was used to in terms of, I mean, you could see that Blind Guardian was changing and they were taking a different direction, but until until A Night at the Opera, everything still remained to me kind of in the same sort of it was very consistent and very, very, very Blind Guardian, and I remember listening to A Twist in the Myth for the first time. And it was difficult. I remember, I think Fly was probably the first single that came out. And exactly. I just remember listening to it. And it took me a really long time. I mean, now I like it. I love it. But it was the album that it was most difficult for me to get along with. Until that point. All of the other albums, I would love them immediately. Even A Night at the Opera, that for some people, they say, no, that was quite orchestral. That was different from, especially after Nightfall in the Middle of. But I don't know, but I loved A Night at the Opera. I loved it straight away. But A Twist in the Myth was a bit of a challenge for me.
A lot of people had big problems with A Night at the Opera at the beginning.
Yeah.
And me too. Yeah. That was one of the biggest reasons too for me. Yeah. Why I said, wow. Great songs, anyhow, but completely overproduced already, And nowadays, I must say, it's even easier listening at the time when we recorded it and released it.
I love it.
I absolutely love it
too. With the years. And Blind Guardian has anyway one big mystery, one mystery thing, and this is. The more you listen to the albums, the better they get. This is really a mystery, but it works. It is really.
And the same is for Mentalist, I have to say. And the same is for Mentalist. There are albums that grow with the listens.
Yeah, at least with the last one, it is extremely like that. That's what I said. That's why I made this comparison to Blind Guardian before, When I said the third album is the first one which I would compare in this way with Blind Guardian.
Okay.
That's what you said earlier. Yeah,
you hear always there a little detail more, there a little detail. Yeah, because it is more complex in general. Yeah, the last album from Mentalist.
Right. Before we go on, we should try and summarize before because we're gonna forget. Because these are really interesting stuff, though. Yeah.
Okay, then I go to the restaurant to eat something in the meanwhile. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were going.
No, las preguntas son largas y se complementan todo, así que tengan claro que resumo y si saben inglés van a encontrar más detalles, pero básicamente le preguntamos qué opinaba de los discos de Blind Guardian después de él. Y dice que ha sido como una montaña rusa. Que partía...
De hecho, ¿sabes qué? Hazlo en orden porque así va a ser más fácil para nosotros como hablar. Entonces, primero habló de A Twist in the Myth,
Sí, a Twist in the Myth no le gustó. Mira, le dice que no le gustó, pero que no le gustaba más el demo. Que el demo cuando él lo grabó, porque él se fue después, aquí fue donde él ya no grabó, ya no fue parte del disco, que en el demo ahí él encuentra, esto no me gusta, tuvo una conversación con Hansi, le dijo, Hansi, ¿sabes qué? Esto no me parece. Hansi le dijo, ¿cómo no te gusta? Si
Eso es raro,
y
Hansi no lo entendía, güey. Sí.
y al final decidieron, ahí él decide salir porque no se sentía cómodo, y que después cuando escuchó el disco le parece mucho mejor el disco que el demo. Después vino At the Edge of Time, que es un disco que a él le encantó bastante. Y después vuelve a bajar la montaña rusa porque viene Beyond the Red Mirror, un disco que no le gustaba nada, que no le ha logrado encantar. Después viene ese extraño invento Twilight Orchestra, que estamos todos de acuerdo que no fue Blind Guardian, que fue un proyecto aparte y que el sello le metió el Blind Guardian para poder venderlo, que a él personalmente sí le gusta, pero que no se puede considerar de Blind Guardian. O sea, hay que sacarlo de Metal, hay que borrar eso porque no debería estar ahí. Y finalmente viene The God Machine, un disco que ama, que de hecho The Secrets of American Gods lo encuentra una maravilla de composición y que le gusta. Y a la vez retrocedió un poco más y contó que, por ejemplo, que la banda además tiene eso, Blind Guardian tiene eso, que uno escucha las canciones y empieza a entenderlas, cuajan más y van creciendo. Y que, por ejemplo, el disco, el último disco que él grabó, que a mí me parece una maravilla, a Hernán también, que es
Night
A Night of the Opera, al principio no le gustó, que de hecho lo encontraba muy sobreproducido, que no le gustó, pero que con los años, ahora que lo escucha, lo encuentra maravilloso y que le ha dado muchas vueltas.
Sí, muy buen resumen. Yeah. So I think we did a good job summarizing our conversation. It's funny, Thomen, because and this is not fanboying, but I kind of concur and I actually agree with you. With your the albums that you like the most and the ones that you don't like as much. I think that actually
a roller coaster, right?
Well, yeah, we are kind of we kind of like the same things and we dislike kind of the same things.
That doesn't mean something bad. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean
it's a travel. It's a travel.
Experience, yeah.
It's a journey. Yeah.
That's the point. So I mean, the success of Blind Guardian explains they did everything right. You know what I mean?
Quiero hacer una pregunta de una persona, de uno de los fans. I want to ask one fan question. Rafa Black Phoenix. Thomen, what is the album of do you must love from Blind Guardian and one from Mentalist?
Rafa. For me, Blind Guardian, 3 albums.
Right. I think I know which ones are, but anyway.
4 albums.
Okay.
It's from the Twilight, Somewhere Far Beyond, Imaginations, and
I was gonna say I think that probably 90% of the people would agree with you. Like are the 90s album kind of thing. Yeah.
And from Mentalist,
something special. And with Tales from the Twilight World, I think the band started creating its own real style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before it was still searching a little bit its own style. It was there in anyhow, but not 100%. And I think with Tales, it really started to get the exact right direction.
But let's make it more interesting and more difficult. If you had to choose one, which one is your favorite? The first one, that the most important one.
Pure listening wise or play wise?
Both. I mean, your favorite to play and your favorite ever to listen to it.
I think my favorite to play. I think. It's between Nightfall and Imaginations, I would say. These 2 albums.
Those are my 2 favorite albums of the band.
It's switching like that, to play, and to listen. I would say the favorite one, Imaginations.
Yeah, it's very. I'm very happy to say that those are my 2 favorite albums as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what are your favorite albums, Karim? Your 1 or 2 most favorite? You are silenced.
I think it's Nightfall because it is one that I discover Blind Guardian, and it's because the Tolkien thing. In those years, I read a lot of fantasy books. I read all the things of the Lord of the Rings in 8 days or 7 days. It was like,
Wow. Yeah.
So when I listen Nightfall, and I haven't read at that time the Silmarillion. So what is this? It's a new part of the Lord of the Rings, and it's in a song. It was all my imagination was traveling around. It's fantastic. So
it was mind blowing. Yeah.
Yes, mixing a very, very nice playing, a very nice song with a very nice reading. It was fantastic. That is because I love the first albums of Rhapsody. The same thing.
Yeah. Do you? Sorry, Thomen. Maybe this is well known, but I don't know. Do you like the Tolkien stuff? Do you like the Lord of the Rings saga and all that? Are you as fan as?
Just not a big reader. I don't like reading books so much. I was never into reading so much. I get headache from this. But I love the movies. I love them. Really, Peter Jackson did such a great job. And The Hobbit too.
Have you seen the Rings of Power? The new series?
Saw, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes from the first series now, from the first the opening series.
Yeah.
It looked nice, but I'm still not really 100% convinced about it. I will check that out later if there are more to watch.
Start slow. Start very slow. That's the problem.
There is a very, very big controversy about that because the hardcore fans of Tolkien, they don't like it and they say, this is nothing like Tolkien. This is just not faithful enough to the source material. I don't know. There's a lot of people in that sort of mindset.
Yeah. There are a lot of racist ones that said why there are black elves.
There's a lot of controversy. Yeah, I am a fan myself of the books and I love it, and I'm loving the series anyway. But because I don't care if it is faithful,
I will
if it's not faithful.
For sure. I will check it out. I will not give up on that already. So, but at the first moment when I watched the first opening. Scenes, I was like, wow.
What I must say though, in those lines is that it is nothing alike the Lord of the Rings trilogy of Peter Jackson. Like I mean, it doesn't compare. I am enjoying it, but for me, the Lords of the Rings saga, the trilogy, is just the best thing the cinemas are.
Exactly.
The cinema has ever done. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we just need to get used on the series to split it from the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And to see it as an own thing. And then maybe it's really becoming...
Exactly, yeah. Probably, yeah. Stop comparing it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's a new thing.
Yeah.
La pregunta partió sobre cuáles eran las canciones, los discos favoritos de Thomen. Al final llegó primero que su disco favorito de él, de Blind Guardian, son Imaginations y Nightfall, y que Imaginations en particular el que más le gusta porque es el que más disfrutaba tocar. Después salió, Hernán comentó que a él le gustan esos mismos discos y preguntó a mí cuál disco es el que más me gusta. Yo dije que Nightfall in the Middle-earth, sobre todo porque yo escuché Blind Guardian en ese tiempo con ese disco, era amante de Tolkien, me leí los libros en 5 o 6 días, todos los libros. Entonces, la pack completo, o sea, Lord of the Rings me moré completo 7 días, si no me equivoco. Y de ahí salió la conversa de que él no es un buen lector, no le gusta, le duele la cabeza cuando lee, pero que le encantaron las películas, y de ahí llegamos a la serie Rings of Power, la serie de Amazon que está recién partiendo, y que la encuentra media lenta, pero que ha tenido mucha controversia, sobre todo porque hay unos idiotas que primero están los fanáticos acérrimos de Tolkien que dicen que eso no sale en los libros y que no sale nomás. Y ahí hay unos más estúpidos que critican que hayan elfos negros porque cómo iban a ver elfos negros, cómo van a ver chinos y cómo van a ver otra raza. Los elfos son todos blancos, rubios, ojos azules. Y ahí estúpido de siempre, pero en el fondo que él probablemente la esté viendo, Hernán al contrario es fanático y la está viendo porque es fanático de Tolkien. Eso. Sintetizado.
Yeah. I have 2 more random questions. Very brief. What happened to Savage Circus? I mean, people. This is a question that people constantly ask us. Like, ask him about Savage Circus.
Yeah. I mean, in I think it was in 2012. Yeah, in 2012, I wanted to reunite Savage Circus, just without Pete at that point. Yeah, because with Pete, I'm not fine anymore. So let's not talk about it. I have my reasons, and the point is that with Jens and Emil, I wanted to reunite. And we even started this, but the problem is that later Jens moved with his living place totally far away from Emil. Yeah, so there were about 100 kilometers or something split, and before they worked almost every day together, and at that point Jens didn't have a recording place anymore. He had it always in the studio of Emil. And then when we started working on the stuff, he took so long and so long and so long, to come up with new stuff. I'm not bad with him or something, about it. It was just, for me, very time stressy, to wait always again for the new stuff. We were working on songs and he could not deliver, the vocals. Okay. And at any point I said, guys, I'm sorry.
It's not working. Yeah.
That's not working. And today, I had even contact to Emil about the rock app stuff here that I told you before.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
I was calling and I said, what about Persuader? And he was like, I'm not doing Persuader anymore. And I said, what? What's going on? He said, no, I quit on that, because it was the same problem as we had with Savage Circus, just waiting. And I was so tired of that. And he said he's starting something new now. And I'm really excited about that, what he will come up with. I mean, they're all totally kind guys, totally nice guys. But of course, they have to do their own normal day jobs too, and it's time consuming. And if they, after work, then have to drive 100 kilometers to his best friend, to record any stuff for any song, you maybe get tired of that too, very fast. I can understand. Yeah. The living situation is not the best for everybody anymore, Yeah. That's the point. And so that's why Savage Circus is on ice now. And I don't think that I will take it up again, at any point. I don't think so, because Mentalist is my new band now, and that's,
Yeah. Bueno, pasé la cortita.
Sí, básicamente le preguntamos por Savage Circus si tiene alguna posibilidad de volver. Dice que en algún momento, hace un par de años, intentaron, pero que los trabajos, la vida, no les daba el tiempo a toda la banda para hacer el trabajo y sacar el disco.
Uno de la banda como que se cambió de ciudad, ya no tenían estudio y se demoraba mucho en enviar la huevada.
Decidió salirse porque no estaba avanzando y el proyecto se congeló y probablemente no va a existir. Y básicamente eso.
Sí. Yo tengo dos preguntas nomás, no sé si las pregunto. Una era por preguntarle por el tema de su canal de YouTube y los covers que le hace Blind, y la otra, creo que es la última pregunta que me quedaba, bueno.
Yo creo que le voy a hacer una par de preguntas.
Del público, quizás.
Yeah, from the fans. How I miss Thomen in Blind Guardians and his departure to the band, I become more complex, but not better, and started lost to identify. It's a message from one of the fans that loves your time in Blind Guardian. Another one.
Wait, I have to be able to first visit in 2002, but I'm glad to know that him is active lately, and I'll certainly be attentive to his new projects. Shout out to him from an old fan. Hello, my friend.
Another fan of Chile, Jonathan Marin, one of my great influences of drums. You are awesome, Tom. I've been a big fan of Fate's Vision era. He's one of the one.
Yeah, but I changed now. I'm not endorsed by Paisti anymore. I'm now endorsed by Artisan Turk Cymbals and by DS Drum Italy. These are my new companies that endorse me, and I'm really happy to have them because they really build great material.
Great stuff.
Daniel Robledo, I wanted Thomen the Woman Stauch. He said about greeting. He's fan of your era in Blind Guardian.
Okay. Vale.
Okay.
Saludos.
Jaime Contreras, that works in PowerMetal.cl, asked how you... Hernán, ¿le podéis traducir un poco la pregunta?
A ver, déjame leerla. Yeah. I think that he's asking about. Creo que la pregunta no está completa, pero dice como, how do you think that you can find the balance
tu trabajo
between releasing so many albums in such a short period of time and the process for the fan of the band to actually be able to embrace these albums and this music at the same pace that you are guys delivering music. So yeah, he's asking about that balance between releasing music very frequently and giving the fans the time for them to actually embrace it. Yeah,
ahí está el fan al final de la pregunta, es lo mismo.
Dios, no entiendo 100%.
Yeah, no worries. Actually, now because it was split in two parts, but now I understood. Basically, he's asking about how can you, as a band, as Mentalist, you guys can strike a balance between the frequency of releasing albums, but at the same time giving the fans the time, allow time for the fans to actually know the songs, embrace them, and maybe take them as like classics and stuff. Because I think he's getting at the point that to the fact that you are actually releasing albums quite frequently. So it's that kind of balance
already with the release.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe some people could feel it like that. Of course, I mean. But that's the point. You can never make everybody happy, If we would release all 3 years an album, people would say, why do you take so long? Give them every year an album. They say, why are you so fast? Why do you not let the songs settle down a little bit, and get into us, to sing like a big hymn later. Of course, I can understand that of you too. Yeah, but we have to decide for anything, and maybe someday we will take as long as Blind Guardian.
Gosh, I hope not. But actually, it's funny because actually that takes me to something like a similar issue with the fandom. It's really difficult to please everybody. It's impossible, and it's funny because for instance, music-wise, if you stay true to what you do and you produce album after album that sound very similar, you will have people complaining, they're not innovating, they're just repeating themselves. And of course, the minute you evolve, the minute you try something different, that's rubbish, they should go back to the old stuff. And actually, after even more, when bands do that, when they do something that they did in the beginning, they go like, they're just going back to the beginning because that's what they sell. It's impossible to please everybody.
You can never make everybody happy. It's impossible. That's the point, and so you will always have it's the same in politics, people say, why this party is wonderful, they do a great job, and others say, go away with them. That is, of course, that is a totally natural thing, that everybody has his own opinion about what should be best for a band or which album is the best of them, and then another one comes and said, what are you talking about? No, it's exactly the opposite, That's the point.
Okay, la pregunta era cómo hace para la banda para equilibrar el lanzar nuevos discos y a la vez dejar que los fans empiecen a encontrar canciones favoritas, por eso ha sido como encontrar los clásicos. Dice que al final, en este momento está un proceso creativo que así se les da y que es imposible agradarle a todos. Entonces, si se demoran más, las bandas van a decir, oye, pero se están demorando mucho en sacar discos. Si lo lanzan más rápido, dicen que se demoran muy poco. Entonces, en el fondo, en este momento están creando, les sale así funcionan como banda y les ha funcionado. Quizá en el tiempo más adelante se van a empezar a distanciar como Blind Guardian, que pasan discos 4 o 5 años. No lo sabe, pero qué bien.
Sí, al final es claro, es simplemente bromear acerca de eso, que al final es imposible que todo el mundo se quede contento. Yo creo que vamos cerrando, ¿no? Ya estamos llegando a horas.
Última, one last question.
The very last question.
Do you do drum class?
Lessons.
Sí. Doy clases de batería y lo
Yes,
siento.
asking for the price.
Escríbeme un email y te lo digo, porque público no voy a decir precios. ¿Sabes?
Okay.
Vale.
Sí.
Y
Ahí está el mail. A este mail, a this mail.
No. Te lo escribí,
Yes.
¿vale?
Ok.
Es la misma que en mi página Thomen Drum Chamber. ¿Vale?
Oh, there you go. Vale, entonces puede encontrar el email ahí. Vale.
Sí, es una palabra alemán. Unterricht es como clases en alemán, ¿vale?
Okay.
Unterricht at
Vale.
Thomen-drumchamber.com. I will write, okay?
Vale.
Tienen que buscar Thomen Drum Chamber en Google. Ahí está ahí aparece el canal, la página, y ahí está toda la información de las clases de Thomen. Ahí está, dice que los precios están, pero tiene que conversarlos directamente, que no los va a decir, pero que nos va a mandar igual vamos a dejar estoy subiendo el nombre exacto. ¿Ya?
Vale.
Y eso, o sea, hace clase de batería. Les voy a dejar el mail, voy a tratar de copiarlo porque es bastante...
Una línea, ¿no? Aquí en Instagram lo va en 2 líneas.
Vale.
Dale, ¿y la última pregunta?
No, la última pregunta le quería
El cierre.
preguntar. Sí, no,
dale.
le quería preguntar por curiosidad por qué se fue a vivir a España y después le iba a decir que obviamente que diga lo que quiere decirle al
Perfecto.
público. Sí, no, Thomen, the very last 2 questions, and actually the last one is just curiosity. You know, you said you were living in Spain or you went to live in Spain. Why was that?
Because my ex-wife was Spanish, and
oh, there you go, right.
Yeah. My ex-wife, I was living in Spain from 2003 to 2006 in Madrid. Yeah, exactly. This is the email where you can write to me for drum classes. ¿No?
Si necesitas clases de guitarra, o sea, clase de batería con Thomen, ese es el mail, ahí lo tienen anotado. De hecho, lo posteé directamente en el chat, así que simplemente le escriben el mail y ahí les va a informar.
Sí, y doy clases aquí local para alemanes y sobre Skype, algo así, ¿no? Con cámara, con 4 cámaras diferentes y puedes elegir si quieres las 4 cámaras o solo una, ¿no? Y lo que necesitas es un micrófono para tu batería y internet, el red, ¿sabes? ¿No? Para transferir la cámara y miro y una batería, claro. Electrónico o acústico, da igual, ningún problema. Y solo tienes que transferir el sonido y la imagen de la cámara.
Y tiene que transferir una cosa más.
Sí.
Dinero.
Sí. Pero
sí.
Puedes estar bien porque los precios son normal, really. Normal.
Perfecto. The very last
lo que toquen me han dicho muchas personas.
Vale, qué bueno.
Muy barato, Tom, muy barato. Vale.
Qué bueno.
¿Sabes?
Muy bien. And the last question, I just remembering one of our colleagues from the team, a member of the team that couldn't be here today, but he wanted to ask about your YouTube channel. So basically, I'm just gonna make 2 questions out of it. What was the motivation for you to start streaming and having a YouTube channel? And also, why playing the covers of Blind Garden is something that your fans wanted to ask you, something that you just wanted to do.
You remember Dawn of Ember, the band I wanted to do before I started with Mentalist?
Dawn of Ember, yeah.
The band, yeah. So I left them now because of time stress. I told guys, I cannot go on with you, and they know it, and we are fine with that. But Mick Butcher, the guitarist and founder of the band, he came to me when we started working here in my town where I lived before. When we started working on the songs, he asked me during a breakfast in the morning. He said, what do you think? Why you do not open a blog or something, a Thomen blog where you maybe post videos that teaching videos or something like that for drums. And I said, wow, come on, man, this is not my cup of tea, He was like, but why, And then we talked, and later I said, okay, I will do a YouTube channel and I will just do whatever I want there. Play old Blind Guardian songs, like a new playthrough of Blind Guardian songs in my room, or even over songs that I love, and that are just interesting for me to play drums to, and this is what I did. I played to Adam Lambert, to Queen, to Queensryche, to Metallica, everything, everything that I want and that makes fun, and this is what I do. And as you see, sometimes I have periods where I'm really stressed here by work and with the band and all that. So I cannot release very much videos for a period of time, and then suddenly I have the time again, and then there come, I don't know, 5 videos in 1 month or something.
Yeah.
So it's totally different. Yeah, and people, of course, sometimes ask them, Thomen, where are the new videos? We are missing you, and it's very kind. I love you too, all my friends, but I have this job, with Mentalist, and and I work also for the Rock app, the streaming app here now for Peter. I'm employed there too, and I'm really happy about that. And so it takes a lot of time. And I have still my family as well. My sweet
Absolutely,
daughter.
Good. Yeah, that was everything on our end, I think. Karim, I don't know if you have something else, but I think that we should leave him.
El resumen y el mensaje,
Right.
El resumen de la pregunta es cómo pasó con el video de YouTube, por qué no tiene un canal de YouTube, cómo parte de esto. Y él dice que una de las razones fue porque había otra banda, Down of Chambers, o Down of, se olvidó el nombre, que la dejó, la dejó porque se sentía estresada. Y de repente de eso mismo, de ese estrés, se encontró esto de grabar batería y grabar canciones de Blind Guardian, de todo, que le gustó y lo encontró entretenido. Y que por eso
que el músico, creo que era el guitarrista, no sé, pero alguien de esa banda le dijo, oye, ¿por qué no empezáis con algo? Y por ahí partió.
Entonces, para relajarse. Entonces empezó a tocar, se grabó y empezó a subir video. Como es a la vez, como es algo para relajarse, es por eso que pasan 3-4 meses y no sube un video. Y a veces pasa un mes donde sube 5, porque en el fondo lo usan como entretención. No es su trabajo. Su trabajo es actualmente Mentalist, Rock app, y eso, y la familia. Y disfruta de eso. Y cuando de repente se encuentra, se le ocurrió crear una canción, y graba. Y si no tiene ganas, no graba. Así de sencillo.
Right. Yeah. So the very last thing was, for you to, in Spanish, of course, the last word, anything that you want to say to your Chilean fans, cualquier cosa que le quieras decir a tus fans chilenos.
Si quieres comentar Rock app, si quieres hablar de ti, si quieres mandar saludos, porque en verdad, yo creo que esta entrevista, te voy a decir, es la entrevista más larga que hemos tenido.
Es la entrevista más profunda y larga, junto con Timo Tolki, I think is the longest.
Pero yo dije que esta entrevista, cuando la promocioné, when I was promoting this interview, for us it's a very legendary interview because everyone has the big ones, so everyone has, I don't know, Ghost, Iron Maiden, you have to chat, but having you, because you are a legend for us, is important. So all the...
Muchas gracias. Muy difícil. No he hablado español hace mucho tiempo, pero la primera cosa que quiero decir es muchas gracias a todos en Sudamérica, en Chile, claro, y lo siento mucho que no he tocado en Chile con Blind Guardian en 2002 por la enfermedad en mi mano. Y vale, al final he pensado que podemos volver y que voy a tocar en Chile otro año, pero como sabéis, he dejado Blind Guardian en 2005 y así no he tenido la posibilidad otra vez. Y ahora espero que vais a soportar
Mentalist mucho. Con Mentalist. Puede ser que vengas con Mentalist, sí.
Sí, exactamente. Que vais a soportar Mentalist mucho y que tenemos la posibilidad algún día de tocar en directo en Chile también con Mentalist. Sería lo mejor de mi vida y no puedo esperar hasta que viene este día. Espero que me habéis entendido un poquito.
Oh,
Sí,
100%,
se entendió.
tu castellano está muy bueno. Sí.
Todavía funciona un
Sí,
poquito.
sí.
Vale, muy bien, muchas gracias.
Sí. Sí, muchas personas están mandando mensajes de agradecimiento, todo dicen, oh, gracias, Thomen, fue fantástico, desde Chile, de Argentina, de algunos otros lugares. Sí. Hasta los perros están,
Sí,
hasta los
mi
perros
perra
están celebrando.
está
Sí.
cazando gatos.
Even the dogs are thanking you, yeah.
Sin hambre.
Right, yeah.
Ok, Thomen, te agradezco en verdad la entrevista. Cuenta con Power Metal tanto para como he estado promocionando. De hecho, puedo decir que yo aparezco en el video en Pulse Falling. Yo aparezco en el video con la foto de mi padre.
¿En cuál video? En el de
In
Empire
Pulse
Falling?
I am in the
Yeah.
video.
The video, yeah.
No,
Sí.
in Legacy.
No, in Legacy.
Generations
Sí.
Legacy. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'm in the video.
Exactamente. Muy bien, me alegro mucho.
Así que cuenta con nosotros. Do you can count with Power Metal for promote Mentalist on Rock app if you want. For us, it's very important
your drumming lessons, anything you want to promote, we're here for you, mate.
And
if you
maybe
believe
if I can.
Moment, I'm not giving too much drum lessons because really time is missing, really, at the moment. To do this even next to Mentalist, and Rock app and all that. So the day has just 24 hours, and believe me, sometimes I really leave this room here at midnight or even later in the night. It's really sometimes really, really tough shit.
And because time is our mission, we're gonna leave you now. Yeah.
I want to send you a PowerMetal.cl teacher. So I will talk later to send me your address, and I will send you a teacher for PowerMetal.cl.
Great, my friend.
Yeah. All right. See ya, Thomen. Thank you for your time.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Y ha sido muy bien todo. Y me ha encantado la entrevista. ¿Correcto? Y
perfecto.
Muchas gracias a los ¿cómo se dice?
Fans.
Los fans, sí. Y a todos los que han visto esto hoy aquí.
The interview stays in YouTube, Facebook, and later I will put you in Spotify like a podcast for audio.
Muy bien, perfecto.
Sí, amén.
Mucho. Vale.
Muchas gracias, Thomen.
Amigos,
muchas gracias.
La próxima vez con el cuarto álbum.
Perfecto.
Cool.
Nos vemos aquí otra vez.
Nos vemos aquí.
Sí,
vale.
Okay,
muy
sí,
bien. Hasta luego.
Ya. Rápidamente cerramos el programa. Espectacular. Yo creo que otra vez una entrevista maravillosa que salen de la nada. Así, vamos a ver qué les podemos tener. Entrevistas que, de nuevo, nadie tiene. Ya, eso. Ha sido un gusto. Que estén muy bien. Disfruten de 2 horas de entrevista. Que estén muy bien. Chao.
Chao, chao, chao.